Hey friends, this is Mark Hallock, and I want to personally invite you to our biggest event of the year, the 2026 Replant Summit, August 25th and 26th in Alpharetta, Georgia. Now, this year's theme is Every Church Matters, Mobilized, Multiplied, because we believe God is not finished with struggling churches. You'll be encouraged through practical sessions on discipleship, community engagement, church renewal, multiplication, and more. Plus, you'll connect with pastors and leaders who understand both the challenges and the joys of the work of church renewal. Now, space is filling up quickly, so reserve your spot today. We would love to see you at the Replant Summit. Register at churchreplanters.com.
Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey. It's Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock.
Hey.
I'm Dan Hurst. There's Kyle Bierman. You wrote a book. Well, both of you've written books, obviously, but Hallock, you wrote a book recently, you and Walker Armstrong, called Land Ho, 7 Keys to Navigating the Adventurous and Challenging Waters of Change. Next time you write one, could you come up with a shorter title? Just,
Hey,
Well,
I didn't come up with it.
Well, the website is www.landho, 7 Keys to Navigating the Adventurous and Challenging Waters of Change.com.
So now that
all one word.
So now that our time is almost over,
By the way, that, believe it or not, that domain was not taken.
It wasn't. It was wide open.
Still available.
Wide open. $4.99 a year.
Okay.
Cheapest domain around.
But listen, the book really did speak to me. I loved it.
Well, praise the Lord.
I loved the book, and it's a really easy read.
That's what we wanted. We wanted to be.
Well, let me take a minute,
Yeah.
and I want you to turn over just to Hallock. Walker Armstrong, he's a Renaissance man.
He is.
He's on our team.
Yep.
And he works primarily with associational leaders. He was an associational leader, and he was an associational director of missions. And he's a novelist. The guy can write novels.
Yeah, he's a legit writer.
He's a legit novelist.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. You and I are not real writers. He is a real writer.
He's the William Faulkner of our team.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, really. He's just got that great Carolinian accent.
Yeah.
Lots of wisdom and lots of humor.
Yeah.
So he's a novelist. And then obviously Hallock is an amazing practitioner. And so we put these two together to actually write sort of a story narrative of what it means to make changes in your church. A whole different approach.
Yes.
And actually, I don't know if it's done yet or not. You can tell me, Kyle. Walker is going to do the narration on his audiobook. So I'm not sure he's got that done yet or not. But it'll be great because Walker's voice is
it's the best.
It's second only to Dan.
Yeah, that's right.
So it'll be good. So I'm just going to kind of chill out here.
Yeah.
And I want Dan to talk to you about this amazing resource. We'll put a link.
Well, and one last thing for you, though, because you can speak to why we put this resource together, because in our work of revitalization, this is a huge deal.
It is.
How do you lead change well?
It's one thing for us to say, here are the things you need to change.
Yes.
It's another thing to say, how do I get there?
Exactly.
I know that's where I need to be, but this is where I am.
Yeah.
And how do I get there? And I like the way you use an ocean, a fluid.
Yeah.
Because on an ocean, it's hard to see any landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to see how far you've come or how far you've gone. And on an ocean, the winds can change, things can change quickly. It's not like you're in land where you got some landmarks, you know where you are. It's a different environment.
And that's how it feels many times.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm good. So let's talk about this book.
Well, the concept or the structure of the book is there's a young preacher who is really struggling. He's in a church that is declining, and he's not being received well. And there's I would assume a retired,
an older pastor,
who kind of comes on board. His wife has died. He's on his own, and he wants to join the church. And he starts connecting with this young preacher, and he has the experience, but also a knack of being able to help him visualize some of the ways that and strategies that he needs to incorporate, and also at the same time that preacher learned some things too. That older preacher learned some things.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So let's talk about this, because it's and I must say, these are not things that are going to be absolute like light bulbs going on. Like, wow, I never knew that. But you've structured them in such a way that they kind of build on each other.
Yes.
And there is an approach that you can take, and if you get ahead of yourself, you end up having to go back to the start, the back of the line.
That's right. That's right.
So let's kind of get started with that, because it all begins with the faithful, not just preaching, but the teaching of the Word of God.
That's right. Well, and this, what we're going to talk about here today is, it really are the sub-points to the first main point of the book, which is shepherd first, then lead. So in other words, what we're trying to say there is, before anyone's going to follow your leadership, they have to know that you love them, that you have been a good shepherd to them, you've won their hearts. And so the question is, okay, so before we try to initiate change, and there's other pieces of that. In fact, we walk through seven keys to that. This is the first key. And everything really hinges on this, is how do you shepherd the hearts of the people and prepare the soil for the change that you need to lead, okay? So there's these 5 things, subpoints underneath that. And the first is faithfully preach and teach the Word of God.
Now, I would assume that to do that, you have to have a passion for the people you're preaching to, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so it's not just a passion for the Word,
Yep.
but it's a passion for the people. I know an awful lot of guys that are passionate about the Word,
preaching, not the people.
but they're not that passionate about the people. So they go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, and I think another way of saying that is, I think that's really good. You have a deep love and passion for the people and for the Word, and to see the Word transform the hearts of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the pulpit, and as a preacher, man, I hope that's what drives us. We want to see God change lives through the preaching and teaching of His Word. And if that's not our motive, then something's wrong. You know what I mean? And it's through that preaching, and I would say that pastoral preaching, that you're preaching as a shepherd, that the Lord, and by His Spirit, does warm the hearts of God's people. And you're helping them grow, right? We did an episode, last time, I don't know what, but we talked about how spiritual renewal is step number 1 in all renewal. And how does God renew hearts? Well, one of His primary means is through the preaching and teaching of the Word of God. And so I love what you said, though, Dan. It's not just to get up there and preach. It's to preach as a pastor to the sheep under your care that you love, and you want to see their lives changed by that.
And do you strategize what you're going to preach, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, we're just going to go through the Gospel of John, but how do you structure that?
Yep, that's good. Well, I think, again, especially early on in a church, I think if the goal is to warm the church, the hearts of God's people up to the gospel again, or quite frankly, to see those who have been part of the church for a long time actually saved. Because you may have folks who've been in the church for 40 years, but they are not born again. I think you need to preach the Word with that aim. And so, again, and we've talked about before, there's different books. Now, again, there's different ways you can do that. I don't want to just say there's one way, but I'm a big fan of preaching through books of the Bible expositionally. And I would say, the first book that I preached through at Calvary was the book of James, actually. And part of why I did that is I knew for our people, there was a bit of a culture and spirit of legalism, of we do a lot of good things, we look good, and my sense was they need to realize that we're saved by grace alone, and that grace, by faith, that faith leads to good works, right, which is James. But we do good works not in order to earn our justification, salvation, but because we've been justified. And so every week through James, obviously it's a very practical book on how to love and serve and forgiveness, all kinds of things. But he gave me a chance to preach the gospel every week and help connect those two dots.
And how do you know when it's connecting?
Well, I think it's connecting in different ways. I think one is when some people are perturbed in a good way, they're being convicted. They might even be annoyed to the point where they're being confronted with some truth that maybe they haven't been confronted with. And I think as you are confronting people with hard truth, with an arm around their shoulder, hey, I'm with you and I'm for you, and the Lord loves you. And in my experience, that's where you see lives changed, is through that kind of truth in love. I think also, quite frankly, we saw folks who had just been so spiritually dry for so long, and they were so excited to have biblical preaching. I mean, they would just tell me week after week, this is so good. I mean, they almost didn't have language. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm just renewed. I feel like, I have fresh excitement for Jesus. And that's, I think, the fruit of what happens when God's people are fed with the word. And so I think that's all fruit. I also think you see in how it begins to affect how people treat each other in the church. There's less gossip. There's more encouragement, You're seeing attitudes are being changed toward one another. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a heart for the lost that wasn't there. And all of a sudden, it's not just you saying, guys, we need to reach the lost, but you're hearing it in conversation. What are we doing to reach the kids in this neighborhood? So I think those are the evidences of maturity, of spiritual renewal that comes through, among other things, the faithful preaching and teaching of the word.
And so from there, or actually not from there, but hand in hand with that,
yep.
It kind of goes to your second point here.
Yeah, is listen more than you speak, right? So when you're talking about change, if that's kind of the big umbrella we're talking about, listen, don't just assume you know what needs to be changed. And
even if you do know what needs to be changed,
yes,
they don't know.
They don't know. And so you listen first, right? I mean, that's what James says, be slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to become angry. And so you want to be a good listener, in terms of just not just how people are doing, personally, but their thoughts on the church, their thoughts on, like, I know when I came in, and I had a mentor who actually prepared me really well for this. He's like, you want to hear them talk about the things they love about this church. You want to just hear them talk about the glory days, and what was it about the glory days? What is it under the surface that they're really excited about? But then you also want to hear their pains. What has been sad for them as this church has declined? What do they, what breaks their heart? You're only going to get at that. And then in light of it's kind of like a doctor, right? You're listening, you're observing before you give a diagnosis. Like, you got to understand what the whole picture is here.
It's interesting because in Clifton's book on Reclaiming Glory, he made.
Did you mention my name?
Did you wake up?
I'm just over here waiting to hear my name mentioned. When you call my name,
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
We spoke about this, I don't know, several weeks ago, and we were talking about in your book. You made a statement, and you referred to you pontificated on it quite well. But the statement is declining churches are subject to two things. Number one, they quit loving what they used to love, and they quit doing what they used to do.
Yeah.
And man, I preached that Sunday, by the way.
Did you really?
I did preach a Sunday.
That's
and
good.
I had one of my deacons there, and I saw the look on his face. It was awesome. It was like the light bulb went on, and he was actually mouthing the word, "Oh."
Yeah.
At least I hope he was saying that, not no, but I think he was saying, "Oh."
Yeah.
And I thought but that came from listening.
Yes, that's right.
I wouldn't have said that if I didn't.
That's right.
Think that they were ready or prepared to hear that.
That's good, man.
And so part of that, what you're saying is your preaching has to be kind of based on what.
That's right.
What you're hearing from them.
Yeah, what you're going to emphasize in your sermons has got to be in line with that. The third thing here is lead with humility, not pride. And again, maybe that's a no-brainer, but I'm telling you, man, we by nature are prideful people. And pride creeps up in all kinds of ways as it can as pastors and leaders. Nobody's going to want to follow your leadership over time if you're a prideful pastor and a prideful leader who kind of knows it all, tends to run ahead of the pack. Humility says this is the Lord's church, not my church. I'm here to serve you as a congregation. I'm here to learn and listen. And that's all key. And then even how you communicate, how you value the input of others. Nobody wants to follow a prideful guy. And listen, we just have to admit there are ways where, we need to grow in our humility before God and before people. And I think what was part of this is just seeing how there can be a real, sometimes with younger guys that I've seen in a desire to be bold and passionate and convictional, which I'm all about. It's almost like at times they confuse that or almost assume, well, you can't be humble and be that at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I would say it actually should be the humility before the Lord that stuff flows out of. But also how when you're trying to get people on board with change, it's going to be the love and the humility of a pastor that gets them, their hearts ready.
And I think, I'll tell you who, and Clifton models this a lot, is the vulnerability aspect.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then be open about it,
Yep.
Exactly. I'm not Mr. Perfect here, and I've learned some things.
That's right.
That I want to share. But yeah, I think that humility and vulnerability really go hand in hand.
And you know what? Part of it too in humility is inviting other voices. I mean, part of this is you've got to get buy-in, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're going to get buy-in from people, they need to feel like they have a voice. Sometimes these folks, they've never been with a pastor who actually cared what they thought. And so you get in a room with some key leaders and get the whiteboard out and say, hey, let's dream together a little bit. Well, that's very different. This is exciting. What do you guys think? But that takes humility.
Yeah.
That says, you know what, we may actually come out of here with some ideas I never would have thought of myself, or even that I don't prefer myself. Yeah. But it's what we need to do as a group. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that takes humble leadership, I think.
And then, and I love this aspect. This word and this term is really, you guys hammer this all the time, and that is celebrate. Just celebrate.
Yes.
I think that is probably one of the most missing things in churches that are declining.
Absolutely.
They've just lost the spirit of celebration.
Well, remember this. There's no such thing as big wins and little wins in the kingdom of God. Every win is a big win. And you have to celebrate every win. And part of that means you got to look for it. And I'm telling you, in a declining church where a lot of folks feel like they haven't had many wins, you got to help them see wins where they don't see it. It might be as simple as you hear about, somebody in your church, serving their neighbor. And you want to elevate that. That's the love of Jesus. That's putting James into practice, caring for your neighbor. Praise the Lord for that. I mean, you need to see evidences of God's grace. That's how I would put it, in and through the lives of your people. And then you elevate that and you speak it. This is why celebration and encouragement go hand in hand. Nobody benefits from your encouraging thoughts of them. They benefit from the words you speak, encouragement. And that's what celebration is. I'm not just celebrating privately in my heart. I'm bringing that out and inviting the church to celebrate all that God is doing. And so that's part of leadership. And I'm telling you, it's like people are drawn to a fire when it's cold. They're drawn to celebration. They're drawn to joy. And so again, what I would say is if there's not a lot of celebration going on in your leadership in your church, why? Mm-hmm. Why is that? What's going on in your heart? That you are far quicker to see everything that's wrong.
And I would say
things that are right.
Sometimes, if you don't want to be phony about it, if you can't find something to celebrate, and you can. I agree with that.
Well, you don't want to be fake. No, I'm not saying, no, you don't want to be fake.
But you can get online and you can find amazing stories of what God is doing among Southern Baptist missionaries all around the world.
Yeah.
And here in the United States and its territories. And every Sunday you can celebrate what our church is doing through our Southern Baptist missionary partners. Celebrate that. We give to the cooperative program. We give to these missionaries.
Yep.
And look what's happening. We can celebrate that today. So you get a mode of celebration, and people want to be where that is, and it's good to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time you celebrate, you know what you're doing? You're saying this: God is alive.
That's right.
He's moving.
Something's happening.
Something's happening. And that's why the more celebration, the better. Because the more you're in people's face going, God is so good. He's so powerful. Look what he's doing. He can do that here. He is doing it here. So all this is leadership stuff. This is what we're talking about. Leading as a shepherd. And I would say this, if you're like, man, I'm not really wired that way. Well, ask God to help you be rewired.
Well, and really what you're saying is, look, it is hard.
It totally is. It is hard, man.
You know, just because you're doing it right doesn't mean it's easy.
No, it's totally hard. And that's where you got to fight, man. Part of ministry is you're fighting for people's joy. You're fighting for your joy by the power of the Spirit, but you're fighting for others. You're fighting for hope. You're fighting. You're in a fight, and it is hard to be in a fight. But it's a fight that Jesus has saved us and empowered us to be in as pastors and in revitalization. But you got to know that's part of your job. You know, this is the stuff you don't learn in seminary.
Right.
You can exegete a passage, you can preach a sermon, you can do all these things. But what we're talking here is real life leadership posture. It's people skills. This is the stuff, you know what I mean, that is so important, and we've got to be growing it all the time.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. It's hard for your people to stay too. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Oh, it is.
I hear this all the time. Well, we've been thinking about leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what they're saying is they're struggling.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
so
right.
if you think that you're struggling as a pastor, think about what your people are going through too. And
I
why.
think, and you're right. And I think a good shepherd affirms that and says, hey, I get it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's okay that you feel that way. But you need to know, man, I love you and I'm with you.
Yeah.
And we can do this.
Yeah. And what's best for you, what's best for me, what's best for the kingdom.
That's right. Exactly.
You know, so.
Yep.
Well, there you go. And the book is Land Ho.
Land Ho with a really long subtitle. 7 Keys to Navigating the Adventurous and Challenging Waters of Change, which I didn't come up with. I just want to say.
And we're putting a link, I would presume, you know, in the notes, so
yeah, that'd be
you
great.
can get a hold of this. And I highly recommend it. It's like I said, it's an easy read, and it's one of those books where you'll find yourself underlining and putting little notes in the side because you'll chase some rabbits.
Yes.
You know,
yep. That's right.
It's kind of designed to do that, to get you to think and to chase those rabbits.
And
that out.
You might find that some people in your church, some men particularly in your church, and women too, might be more inclined to read a narrative book than a book like mine, which is just whatever it is.
The narrative, it's hopefully we wrote it again. We wanted to be engaging. It's a story. And it's also made, find a couple other leaders to read it with you because we've got discussion questions and you know, start a little book club and just do it. You'd be amazed.
Yeah, that is. You do have the discussion questions at the end of every chapter.
Just to learn and talk about it together. So,
well, there you go. Leading as a shepherd. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to consider these thoughts and these ideas, because really the only reason we present them is because we do want to be a part of your ministry and make a difference in what you're doing. And if we can do that, then we've actually succeeded in what we're trying to do. Thanks to the North American Mission Board for making this possible for us to
try
hang together.
Subscribe, please.
Yeah.
We need all the help we can get.
Boy, do we.
We are at the end of our rope here.
Oh, my God.
I think we have 38 subscribers. And if we don't get to 50, they're going to yank us off the air.
Yeah, here we go.
Going down
here. We go.
So if your kid has a smartphone or a tablet, go ahead and get on subscribe from him. In fact, Sunday morning, have everybody hold up their phones and put the QR code on the screen and have everybody in your church subscribe on Sunday morning.
This is going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly.
Bye.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton and Mark Hallock. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. To learn more about becoming a replant pastor or to explore revitalization resources for your church, subscribe to our monthly newsletter at churchreplanters.com.